The sun was hot, but not too hot. It was the kind of day where people dress simple and hope for something small to smile about. She tied her wrapper tight and adjusted her blouse. Her sandals were. She paused and added, simple and hope for something small to smile about. She tied her wrapper tight and adjusted her blouse. Her sandals were clean, but old, nothing flashy. She wasn't coming to show off. The little girl beside her held her hand and skipped ahead. Her friend waved from the food area, smiling wide. Come, let's just look around small. It will clear your head. She didn't want to come. Not today. Not with the noise and people. But she didn't say no. She just nodded and smiled the kind of smile that doesn't reach your eyes. Music played from a loudspeaker somewhere near the main stage. A man on a mic was shouting about discounts. A goat bleated in the distance. Someone was selling live meat. Children were chasing balloons. Women were laughing in small groups. But her heart was quiet. She didn't laugh. She didn't speak much. She only held the little girl's hand tighter and looked around slowly, like her body was here, but her mind was far away. They walked past the ice cream stall. That was when she stopped. Her whole body froze. She didn't blink. She didn't move. She just stared. Her friend noticed and stepped back beside her. What? No answer. Just breathing. Slow. Heavy. A tall man walked by just ahead. He looked like someone on TV. He wore new jeans, a big watch, and glasses too shiny for this kind of sun. But it was him. It was the man who left her. It was the man who vanished from her life without a word. And he looked happy. He looked like someone whose world had no scars. His hand was locked tightly with a woman in bright yellow. The woman's nails were long. Her lipstick was loud. She was laughing too much, like someone who had won a prize. Please tell me that's not him, she whispered. The little girl tugged her hand, confused. Her friend didn't answer. She just stared too. Then came the real slap. A twin stroller, two babies, same face, same skin, same smile. They looked about 1 year old. They were laughing, playing with their toes. One of them had Kenneth's nose. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor. People walked around her like she wasn't there. Her feet stayed planted. Her chest was tight. Her eyes were full but dry. Her friend reached out slowly. Wita, after everything? She shook her head, not fast, just once. Her voice broke, but she didn't cry. The woman in yellow leaned on Kenneth and kissed his cheek. He smiled like he forgot how to frown. She turned away fast, but her eyes didn't follow her body. She walked, but she looked back. Her legs were moving, but her heart stayed there. The twins laughed again, and her whole world went quiet. He walked past like she was not standing there. No look, no smile, no guilt. His hand stayed locked with the woman in yellow. They laughed like school children, not like parents. They didn't look back, not once. She stood still, her lips pressed tight, her teeth bit down on the corner of her lip until she tasted metal. The tears came fast, but she pushed them back. She would not cry here, not in front of all these people. The woman's wrapper sparkled neck, ears, wrist, all gold, the type that shines even in shade. Her nails were curved and sharp. Her lips were loud red. She walked like a woman who already won the fight before the bell rang. Ngozi didn't blink. She leaned slightly toward her friend. He left me for this. Her voice was not loud. It didn't need to be. Her friend squeezed her hand but didn't speak. There was nothing to say. Two girls walked by, eyes scanning her face. One of them stopped for a second. She looked, frowned, then whispered something into the other girl's ear. They both looked back at Kenneth, then back at Nosy. She saw it. She felt it. She forced a smile, a fake painful one, the kind you use when your dress tears at a wedding and you act like it was fashion. She nodded slowly, like nothing happened, like she was fine. A small boy with Puff Puff in his hand stopped in front of her. He tilted his head and stared at her face for a few seconds. Then he frowned, like he didn't understand the kind of sadness he was seeing. He didn't say anything, just walked off, Puff Puff swinging in his nylon. Then it happened again, right in front of everyone. Kenneth leaned forward, kissed the woman on her cheek, and whispered something that made her laugh louder than before. Ngozi turned away quickly. Her chest twisted like something sharp had entered it. Her feet shuffled back. Her heart dropped again, this time deeper than before. Her voice was low now, almost like a breath. He promised me twins too. She was still staring. I prayed for this. He gave it to her. The little girl holding her hand looked up confused. Auntie, why are you sad? She blinked, looked down. She bent and lifted the child gently. No, my baby, I'm not sad. She smiled. A real one this time, but small, quiet. The girl rested her head on her shoulder. Her friend placed her hand on her back. They started walking slowly, away from the noise. Let's walk small. I'm not ready to go. Her voice didn't shake. It came out strong. But inside, everything inside her was falling apart. And she was holding all the pieces with one hand. She greeted every neighbor on her street. Morning, auntie, evening, uncle. She helped the old woman across the road with her bag of cassava. She never raised her voice, even when the tomatoes were half rotten. They called her the good girl, quiet, respectful, church going, the one who doesn't gossip. A woman like that, they said, must already be someone's wife. But she wasn't. Her smile stayed strong, but her back bent slowly. She laughed when people laughed. She greeted when people greeted. But every night, she tied her wrapper tighter and curled up in bed like a child. She didn't tell her sister everything. She didn't even tell her own reflection. He didn't shout. He didn't pack his bags. He didn't say, "This is not working." He just stopped. No message, no call, no goodbye. She kept dialing his number. It rang, then it didn't. Then it said, "Switched off." One afternoon, while plaiting a customer's hair, she whispered to her friend, 6 years. I gave him everything. The friend paused. You mean Kenneth? Ngozi nodded, not lifting her eyes. I gave him my youth, my best. They had picked her date. She remembered when her mother bought wrappers from Abba and said, don't stain our family name with delay. His people had visited. Her people had prepared. The pastor had announced it during youth service. Everyone was just waiting. Then nothing. She called him at 8 a.m. No answer. She called again at 1 p.m. No answer. By evening, she walked to his house. The gate was locked. Neighbors said he traveled. No one knew when he left or where he went. She came back again the next day and the next. But the house stayed silent. At night, while folding clothes, her sister spoke gently. My sister, if a man disappears, maybe God removed him. She folded wrappers like folding pain. But he didn't even fight me, she whispered. Her sister sighed. How do you bury a man that's still breathing somewhere? Ngozi said nothing. She just folded the last wrapper and walked out. Every morning, she cleaned the floor. She arranged the chairs. She sharpened the combs. She washed hair with care. She braided like it was art. She smiled at every customer, but her eyes looked tired. Even when she laughed, they didn't shine. Every Sunday after service, they circled her like mosquitoes. So you're still doing hair? Your mates are on baby number 2. Oh. Ah, ah, What happened to that Kenneth boy? She laughed lightly. It's God's time. They nodded, but as they walked away, they whispered, She's over 30 now. She wasted all those years on a boy that vanished. Maybe she tied him spiritually. Ngozi was standing behind the water tank when she heard them. She didn't cry. She didn't move. She just turned, slowly, walked back inside, and tightened her scarf. Twice she tied her wrapper and sat on the veranda. Two small feet ran into her lap. Mommy Ngozi, look at my new shoes. She laughed. The girl spun twice, showing off red slippers. The boy came next, carrying a plastic cup of Gary water. She kissed both of them on the head. Let's eat yam, eh? Your mommy boiled some. They nodded and followed her inside. The children made her feel like something still belonged to her. When they called her Mommy Ngozi, her heart didn't ache as much. She lay on the mat beside the bed. Her sister was already asleep. The children snored gently in the corner. She pulled her wrapper up to her chin. Her chest was tight. Her eyes refused to stay dry. She covered her face with the wrapper and whispered into it, God, why me? No sound came from above, only the ticking of the wall clock and the soft breeze from the broken fan. She met him at church. He helped her carry chairs. He called her my wife in front of people. He held her hand like it meant something. I will marry you or no one, he told her one evening. She believed him. She smiled in her room for 2 days after that. Every Sunday after service, he came to our compound. She served him jollof rice and plantain, sometimes yam porridge, sometimes egusi. He never brought oil, never brought meat. Still, she served him. He would lean back in the plastic chair, pat his belly, and say, Wife material. She would laugh and clean his mouth with tissue. He said he wanted to work in a bank. He had no suit. She bought one. He had no CV. She paid a boy to type it. He couldn't afford transport to interviews. She gave him 500, then 1,000. Don't worry, she told him. When you stand, I will rest. Her uncle called him a boy in man's body. Her mother said, he talks too much and gives too little, but she stood strong. I know what I'm doing, she told them. Love is not about money, it's about support. The sister looked at her quietly but said nothing. He stopped coming every Sunday. 1 week became two, then four. I'm busy, he said on the phone. I'm tired, he texted on WhatsApp. She boiled rice anyway. He didn't show. She packed it into nylon and gave it to the neighbor's child. She called in the morning, switched off. She tried again at noon, number busy. She sent a message. He didn't deliver. Evening came, then night, then days. No reply, no message, no goodbye. Just air. She told her sister, maybe he lost his phone. Her sister shook her head slowly. Someone came from Lagos and said they saw him. Another woman said she heard he was married. Another swore he traveled abroad. She didn't believe any of them. She waited and waited. She said it one night while folding wrappers. Her voice was firm. If he loved me, he wouldn't leave me like that. She repeated it the next day and the next. But each time she said it, it felt weaker until one day she said it. And even she didn't believe it anymore. She walked behind them, not too close, not too far. Her eyes stayed on his back like glue. He was laughing, talking, moving like nothing was wrong in the world. She walked slowly, like someone inside a bad dream, one leg after the other, her heart heavy like stone. Her friend grabbed her hand. Let's go home, please. You don't need to see this. Ngozi didn't speak. She didn't stop. She just kept walking. Her friend followed beside her, quietly, no more begging, just watching. The woman laughed so hard, people turned to look. She pointed at something, leaned on Kenneth, and laughed again. She was talking loud like the whole place belonged to her, like she was the first woman to find a man. She kissed Kenneth on the cheek, right there, in public, like a trophy she was showing off. Two little boys, same face, same smile, gold chains on their necks, tiny shoes with lights that blinked, sunglasses too big for their heads. They sat in the stroller like kings, laughing, kicking. Ngozi looked at them. Her chest tightened. Her hands started shaking. Her friend saw it and held her arm. They stopped near a tree. A man was turning chicken on a yacht grill. Kenneth bought one, the biggest one. He took it to the woman, opened it with care, and held it like it was treasure. She took the first bite. He smiled. Then he tore a piece, wiped her mouth gently with tissue, and laughed again. Ngozi stood there, eyes on the tissue, eyes on the same hand. She whispered under her breath, "He did that for me too." Her friend didn't answer, just looked at her face and sighed deeply. They passed a woman selling earrings. The woman looked once, looked again. She tilted her head, her mouth opened slightly. Recognition. Then came the look, that soft, pitying look, the kind that says, "Ah, she's the one." Two women sat near a drink stand. One wore a green head tie. She pointed with her chin. "Isn't that Kenneth's old girlfriend?" The other woman looked up and squinted. "That's her. She used to come to his compound every Sunday." The first one nodded slowly. "Chai?" Whispers moved through the space like wind. Eyes turned. Some looked away fast, some didn't. One woman even laughed small and turned to her phone. Ngozi heard her name. She heard Kenneth. She heard left her. No one said hello. No one asked how she was. They just watched, like she was old news in a new market. The little girl looked up, confused. She didn't understand what was happening. She just saw people staring. Ngozi bent down, lifted the child, and hugged her tight. She buried her face into the child's shoulder and breathed in the smell of hair cream, of innocence, but her heart still burned, and nobody said sorry. The woman in yellow stopped laughing. Her eyes shifted. She saw her. Their eyes met across the walkway, through the noise, the people, the food stalls. Then came the smirk, slow, wicked, like someone who already knew the pain she caused and liked it. Hey, Ngozi stood still. She didn't blink. She leaned toward her friend and whispered. Her voice was low. "She knows who I am." The friend swallowed hard, looking at both women. "And she's enjoying it." Eh? Ngozi didn't look away. Neither did the woman. The woman leaned close, too close, whispered something into his ear. Kenneth turned quickly. His eyes landed on Ngozi just for a moment. Then he looked away, fast, like he touched fire. No wave, no nod, no sorry. Just empty eyes and a quick turn. He walked on like nothing happened. The noise around her grew louder, music, laughter, children crying, but she didn't hear any of it. All she heard was silence and shame. Her hands felt cold. Her stomach turned. It felt like the whole world was laughing at her, and she was standing in the middle, exposed, forgotten, useless. A small ball rolled out of the stroller. The twin stretched his hand but couldn't reach it. Before anyone else moved, Ngozi stepped forward. She bent down quickly and picked it up. She wiped the dust with her wrapper and stood there, silent, holding the ball. She stretched the toy gently toward the little boy. He smiled. His face looked like Kenneth's. Nose, eyes, even the gap in his teeth. Her hand shook. Her chest burned. That should have been hers. Kenneth stepped forward. His eyes finally met hers. For one long second, they stood like that. Her pain, his shame, his mouth opened slightly, then closed. No smile, no word. Just silence. He looked like a stranger in a suit that didn't fit. The woman snatched the toy from her hand, snatched the child back into the stroller like she was removing him from fire. She didn't say thank you, didn't say anything. She just pulled and turned her face like Nosy was dirt on the floor. A man in a blue cap stood near a popcorn stand. He had watched everything. He shook his head slowly and said just loud enough, "Wickedness." Then added, shaking his head again, "Women suffer too much." No one replied, but a few people nearby nodded. Her face was calm, but her eyes were wet. Her niece still sat on her hip. She wiped her face quickly. She turned away, not because she wanted to, but because if she stayed one more second, she would scream. Her dignity was cracking like old glass. And she knew the show was far from over. Music blasted from the big speakers near the dance arena. Children in matching Ankara ran in circles, faces painted, hands sticky from sugar. Women danced with their wrappers tied high, hips swinging to the beat, but she didn't hear any of it. She walked past the stage slowly, head down, eyes blank, her knees on her hip. She looked like someone walking inside water, there, but not really present. Then that smell, that same perfume, the one she bought for him the year they celebrated his job interview, the cologne he sprayed before meeting her parents. She stopped walking. She didn't need to turn. She knew. The ball rolled in front of her sandal and rested. She bent down slowly. Her fingers shook. She picked it up and dusted it with her wrapper. One of the twins stretched out his small hand, waiting. She didn't move, not yet. She stepped forward, held the ball gently. She smiled at the child and stretched it toward him. "Here you go, sweetheart." He smiled back, but something cracked inside her. Her voice was steady, but her heart was not. His eyes landed on her face. This time, he didn't pretend not to see. His lips parted slightly, but no words came. His hand froze in midair, still holding roasted corn. They just stared, two strangers with a story too deep to speak. The woman in yellow stepped in quickly, picked up the bowl, lifted the child. She smiled, but not kindly. Then, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Babe, is this the village girl you told me about?" Her voice was sweet and sharp, like hot tea with blade inside. It was like someone pressed pause on the entire show. One of the MCs was still talking through the mic, but nobody was listening. Vendors stopped moving. Children slowed their dancing. Heads turned one by one. Eyes fixed. Mouths opened slightly. Everyone was waiting. Her fingers curled into her palm. Her wrapper tightened around her waist. Her ears rang, but not from music, from anger, from shame, from memory. She took one slow step forward, then another. Her friend reached for her, but she didn't stop. She stood tall, her chin lifted, her voice didn't shake. "Village girl, me?" The woman in yellow blinked. Kenneth shifted his weight. The crowd leaned in slightly. Her friend whispered, "Please stop." But Ngozi shook her off. She was not going to be silent again. Her voice rose. It cut through the crowd like cutlass through grass. "When I was feeding you rice and stew every Sunday, was I a village girl? When I used my salon money to buy your interview shirts, was I a village girl?" Kenneth took a step back. People started gathering. One man mumbled, "A don't start." Another woman said, "Ah, talk your talk, sister." But Nosy wasn't finished, not yet. Her voice was louder now. She didn't blink. She didn't care who was watching. "You remember those nights when you slept in my room because you had no money to go home? You remember how I used to boil hot water and massage your leg when your body was paining you?" Kenneth's smile disappeared. His hands dropped from the woman's shoulder. His eyes went to small. His lips stopped moving. Nosy pointed at him now. a strong, straight finger full of fire. I was the one buying your boxers. The crowd gasped. Who paid for your mother's BP medicine when she collapsed? Me. Who gave you money for your sister's school fees? Me. Some women in the crowd began to whisper, their faces twisting with anger. Kenneth couldn't speak. His mouth opened, then closed. The woman in yellow stepped forward, mouth open, trying to say something. But Ngozi turned to her. My dear, enjoy him well. Feed him, dress him, shine his shoe. You'll enjoy him. He loves women who don't ask questions, women who keep quiet, women who sit pretty and pretend. Then her voice dropped. But let me give you small warning. Her face tightened. Her eyes turned dark like storm. He will leave you, just like he left me. When your womb is tired, when your face is no longer fine, when he sees another one, her voice broke. He will carry your womb and still run. There was noise now. Deep, heavy noise. Jesus! One woman shouted. Nawa oh! A man shook his head. Another voice from the back said, this kind of shame na generational. Some people looked at Kenneth with disgust. Others nodded at Ngozi. The crowd was fully awake now and on her side. His voice came out dry. Ngozi, please, calm down. She cut him like knife. Don't call my name with your dirty mouth. Don't bring my name out of that wicked throat. The woman in yellow touched Kenneth's arm. He pulled it away slowly. Her hands dropped to her sides. Her voice was tired now, broken. You used me like water after Gary. Then you threw me like dust. Tears rolled down her face, one by one. She didn't wipe them. She didn't hide. She stood with them. And she shook her head slowly. She looked at the twins. Their small eyes stared at her from the stroller. Her voice softened. Innocent children, born from betrayal. I pray they never feel the kind of pain I felt. I pray they never meet someone like their father. The woman in yellow looked away. Kenneth bent his head. She adjusted her wrapper quickly. Her smile was gone. She didn't say anything. She just bent and held both twins tighter. One of them started to cry. She rocked him fast, looking around like she wanted to disappear. Kenneth still hadn't moved. His face looked empty, like a man with no plan. A clap started from the left, then another, then more, until half the crowd was clapping, some with hands, some with their eyes. Ngozi didn't wait for approval. She turned. She carried her niece on her hip. Her back was straight. Her face was wet. But she walked tall. With each step, something heavy left her, and she never looked back. The music had started again. Someone was announcing a raffle draw, but she didn't hear it. People were watching. Some were whispering. Some were nodding in silence. She walked straight through the middle like they didn't exist. She didn't look left. She didn't look right. Her face was strong, her eyes still wet, but her back stayed straight. Behind her, footsteps. Godzi, please wait. Breathe. She stopped walking, but she didn't speak. Her chest was rising and falling. Her hands were still shaking. The child on her hip was calm, too calm. Her friend caught up, stood beside her, didn't say another word. They just stood there, two women, one broken moment. They found a space under a wide tree beside a popcorn cart. Children were still running and shouting. Music floated in the air like nothing had happened. She sat down on a plastic bench. Her niece leaned against her shoulder. She wiped her face with the end of her wrapper, slowly, gently, like clearing away dust. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. Everything was already said. She looked ahead, voice almost a whisper. I didn't plan to say all that. Her friend held her hand. I know. There was silence again. Then, but you needed to. Ngozi didn't answer. But her eyes said thank you. Her phone vibrated. One message, just one. She looked at it. I'm sorry, things got complicated. No hello, no name, no shame. She looked at it for 5 seconds, then pressed delete. No reply, no forwarding, just delete. She put the phone on silent and dropped it in her bag. Then she smiled. Not the fake one from the afternoon, a small one, tired, quiet, but real. She took a deep breath, the first full one in months. That evening, at home, after bath time and dinner, the little girl walked to her mat, climbed into her lap, and hugged her tight. Her arms were small, but they felt strong. She didn't say anything, but she laid her head on Gozi's chest and stayed there. She opened the door to find her sister standing there. No words. She just stepped forward and held her tight. Not a single question. Just arms, just warmth, just understanding. Ngozi let herself fall into it. They sat on the mat in the corner. One plate of jollof rice, 2 spoons, fried plantain in a small saucer. Nobody mentioned Kenneth. Nobody said anything about the rancho. They just ate, peacefully, like old times. She washed her face, tied her scarf, laid down on her side, and pulled the wrapper over her. Eh. This time she didn't cry. She didn't think. She didn't beg God to remove the pain. She just slept. And for the first time in a long time, she slept deep. The sun was not even out yet, but her door was already open. She tied her wrapper tight, broom in hand, sweeping slowly, like she was sweeping shame out of her life. She cleaned the mirrors, rearranged the combs, then she hung a fresh mirror, new glass, clear reflection. She looked into it once, then got to work. The first knock was soft. The door opened. Madam Esther from church stepped in. No appointment, no hairnet, just her and her wrapper. She walked straight to Ngozi and hugged her. Long, tight. You spoke for all of us yesterday. Ngozi nodded slowly. No words, just that. A little girl entered next, skipping. Her mother followed behind with a small bag of attachments. The woman smiled, wide and proud. You're brave, my sister. She sat on the bench, adjusted her wrapper. May God keep you strong. Ngozi smiled. Softly. Didn't say much, but the nod carried weight. Later that morning, a young girl passed the salon window, sucking ice cream. She paused, looked in, pointed. You get mine though. Then she laughed and kept walking. Ngozi laughed too. Real laughter. First one in months. Her hand touched her chest, like checking if joy was still there. It was. In the afternoon, a knock came again. Her sister peeked through the curtain, then turned. It's his cousin. Ngozi didn't raise her head. She dipped her hand in hot water and wrung the towel she was using to steam someone's hair. Tell him I'm not home. Pause. Ever. That evening, her phone started ringing. The church group had heard. Some women were clapping in secret, some were silent. One called and whispered, You were bold, but next time, be careful. Another texted, You disgraced him well. You made us proud. Mixed voices, but all loud. She read them, but replied none. The next day, Auntie Neka arrived with one sachet of orange juice and her old leather slippers. She sat on the bench, crossed her legs, looked at Ngozi like a mirror. You did well, she sipped. Silence is good, but not forever. Ngozi just smiled. She always listened when this woman spoke. Auntie Neka leaned closer. Her voice softened. You bled in silence for too long. She touched her knee gently. Now they know your pain and your power. Ngozi's eyes blinked fast. She didn't cry, but her throat tightened. That was enough. Before closing, she wiped down the black chair one last time. She looked at it, then looked at herself in the mirror. She pulled her scarf tight. I'm not finished, she whispered, but I'm still standing. She brushed one tiny hair off the seat, then switched off the light. The road outside got busy again. Kenneth's name came up less and less. Customers kept coming. Gossip kept flying, but it no longer stuck to where he was now history. She, she was now voice. She dusted her wrapper and stood up from the bench. The orange juice pack was empty. Her voice had done its work. She walked to the salon door, then stopped, turned back. Ngozi was wiping a comb. Auntie Neka smiled, small, deep, wise. You didn't need to win him back, she said, voice low, calm. You just needed to find yourself again. She nodded once, turned, and walked away. Her slippers slapped the ground like punctuation. The salon was quiet. Ngozi turned and looked out through the window slats. Two schoolgirls passed, laughing loudly, books on their head, doors on their shoes, joy in their voices. She didn't envy them. She didn't feel small. She didn't feel old. She felt peace. Just that. She moved back to the chair. Her customer sat, head bent, waiting. Ngozi picked up the comb. Her fingers moved with memory, with rhythm, with quiet strength. One braid, then another. She didn't rush. She didn't drag. She was working. She was healing. She was here. The braid tightened gently under her hand. She smiled, looked at the reflection in the small mirror. Her lips moved softly. Some men don't break your heart, she said. They free it. Then she paused and added, and once you're free, you never go back. The sun was hot.